Hey, Zareen, Roohi, Ahmed here. Thank you for attending today's special training where we are going to dive into how employers can easily fast-track inclusivity, supporting wellness from menstruation to menopause and everything in between for a workplace that women absolutely adore, while seamlessly aligning with British standards guidelines for menstrual and menopausal health in the workplace. And look, this is a unique approach that removes all the guesswork and simplifies your entire inclusivity strategy. And this is based on my premium workplace Accelerator program that we deliver to our clients' organizations. And as you'll see, there is no other program like it. So there are 3 steps to creating an inclusive workplace culture that feels normal and effortless. And I'm really excited to share it with you. And you're going to get so many light bulb moments as I go through this training. So the first phase is about making your organization menstrual and menopause savvy. It's about positioning your vision for an inclusive workplace in front of your employees and making sure that everyone understands the importance of it and buys into the strategy in the correct way. It's about getting to grips with the British Standards guidelines, and the magic ingredient for success here is empathy. I'll come back to that a bit later. Phase 2 is about the practical implementation of the strategy in terms of the work design, the physical aspects and spaces for an accessible and inclusive environment. And in phase 3, we need to integrate the new policies in a simple way, gain accreditation and show conformity to the British standards, and put evaluation and review processes in place going forward. And by this phase, you'll be showing your leadership in the industry, and there will be a lot of PR around your success. And using this model, combining my knowledge of my 12 years in this sector, bolstered further by the British Standards guidelines, I'm now helping organisations like yours to provide practical tools and adjustments to improve their workplaces. And the thing to realise here is that we are on the cusp of a global change in workplace practice, because for centuries, workplaces have been built around how men's bodies work, and now every credible organisation is waking up to the reality of how vital it is to also synchronise their systems around how women's bodies function. And by embracing this strategy now, you'll be amongst the early adopters that will lead this change within your industry. Does that make sense so far? Give me a yes in the chat if you're with me so far. Excellent. So it's so exciting. So maybe you already have inclusion and diversity goals stated in policies and on your website, but don't know where to start to make it really tangible. Or perhaps you've taken some steps or hosted the occasional menopause event, for example, but it's not a comprehensive sort of whole organisation strategy that's fostering long-term inclusivity on menstrual health. And look, a tide of organisations across every sector are waking up to the benefits of addressing menstrual and menopausal inclusion. And the process I'm sharing with you today is proven to enhance employee well-being, engagement and productivity while contributing to your diversity goals. And organisations that follow this process increase employee retention and reduce costs related to recruitment and training, not to mention absenteeism caused by menstrual health, because as a study in 2022 found, women are losing around 9.5 days annually as a result of their periods. And a quick disclaimer here that when I talk about women, of course, I mean everyone who menstruates, whether they identify as a woman or not, because all of the data and stats we have are based on the general population of women. Also, when I say menstruation and menopause, I'm referring to everything in between too, such as pregnancy or endometriosis. So all of the phases and potential problems we might face along the way that relate to our reproductive biology. Does that make sense? Perfect. And look, every organization's results are going to differ. But at the end of the day, it's true, isn't it, that happy chickens lay more eggs. So if you're on this training right now, you're probably in a great organization, and the chances are that you feel like this. You've most likely got a great organization with a fantastic vision. You really care about your employees. You really want to provide them with what they need to enable them to thrive and make them feel like they truly are valued and supported. But sadly, you're bombarded by an avalanche of the issues to consider in relation to women's health and well-being in the workplace, like how to supply period products, menopausal women's needs, pregnancy policies, flexible working, gender discrimination, unconscious bias, what needs to change in your physical environment, dealing with stigmas and taboos, how to begin the conversation and talk openly about things like menstruation. Then you have all the cost implications and the impact if you don't take action, and the list goes on and on. So here's a question for you. Which of these points that I've listed resonates the most with you in relation to your workplace? Type the number or the numbers that relate to you in the chat. We always get lots of number 8s. Taboos and stigma is a big one. And also period products, yes. And menopause needs is a big one too. And it's pretty overwhelming because it can feel like a minefield, right? And that's why it often gets brushed under the carpet to deal with later. It's because your attention has been pulled in so many directions, and sometimes it can feel like a roller coaster because it's like every day there is a new gender reference or politically correct thing to consider, right? And what you need is some consistency and an inclusion strategy that will do what you need it to do. Does that make sense? Okay, so you're going to learn today how to gain clarity on your inclusion strategy, create empathy and buy-in even with challenging team members, implement the physical and practical elements into your workplace, easily embed your new policies and practices going forward, and create a workplace where everyone feels incredibly valued and proud to be part of. And you will be able to achieve it without needing to have any awkward conversations or make people feel uncomfortable, or without having to develop an overcomplicated strategy, and without spending endless months or years trying to get this right, or having to rewrite your inclusion and diversity policies. How does that sound? Put a yes in the chat if it all makes sense so far. Perfect. So first of all, a quick rundown about me. I'm Dr. Zareen Roohi Ahmed, founder and CEO of Gift Wellness, which is an award-winning social enterprise dedicated to fighting period poverty globally with a range of sustainable menstrual products and personal care products and services. And I'm really passionate about ethical business and philanthropy. I'm a best-selling author of an award-winning book called The Gift, where I delve deep into these issues. So I've kind of literally written the book about this stuff because I just love this subject, and I speak internationally on this subject. And the picture you see there is my TEDx talk, which is called A Mother's Gift to Humanity, Period Justice, which you can find on YouTube. I have a PhD in multiculturalism, specialising in women's rights, and over the last 25 years I've led urban regeneration projects and community projects and represented Britain internationally in various senior roles. Since starting Gift Wellness 12 years ago, we've distributed millions of products to women in need through our Gift Wellness Foundation and our community-led Period Angels app, which I'll tell you more about in a minute. And of course, now I'm also pioneering this exciting program to tackle discrimination in the workplace and create more female-friendly workplaces using innovative approaches like virtual reality technology to foster empathy and inclusion. Now, my journey in this whole realm started with a promise, a pact that I made with my daughter Halima, that after she graduated we would work together in charity and social enterprise work. But tragically, just after her 19th birthday and 6 weeks after starting university to study third world development, Halima was abducted and murdered not far from our home. My world and my family's world fell apart, as you can imagine. But this massive upheaval led me to a decision to focus on ways to fulfill that promise. And the result was that I spent the next 3 years fundraising and campaigning to build a school for orphaned and needy girls in Pakistan, where we now also have a college and over 1,000 girls in total. And so many daughters now. We inaugurated the Halima School of Excellence in April 2011, and a few days later I found myself in the airport lounge in Lahore on my way back home to Britain, thinking sort of anxiously to myself, what will I do now? I knew that whatever I did, it needed to continue to keep me connected to Halima and to that promise. So there in that airport lounge, I remember picking up a magazine which opened on to an article about women in refugee camps, in the Syrian refugee camps, who were forced to tear strips off the bottom of their dresses to fold up into makeshift sanitary pads. And at that moment, I saw myself giving pads to these women. And that moment was the birth of Gift Wellness. And since then, Gift products have become a cherished and award-winning brand with 3 key goals: to provide non-toxic products that support women's health and well-being, to reduce the amount of plastic waste that goes to landfill sites, and all of the products are plastic-free, and to support gender equality, not only by empowering women by providing free menstrual products, but also by supporting organisations like yours to create more inclusive workplaces that support menstrual health and enable women to thrive. And we've donated several millions of menstrual products to women in crisis all over the world, from homeless women here in the UK and refugee women in refugee camps to food banks and women's projects everywhere. And I've now developed a game-changing app called Period Angels, which provides a community-led approach to addressing period poverty by connecting organisations, volunteers, and those experiencing period poverty together in a self-sufficient and sustainable way. And by using this app and getting employees involved in collecting menstrual products for our Period Angels stations, as we call them, in their communities, organisations that we're working with all over the country are getting actively involved in our strategy to eliminate period poverty in the UK. And we've continued to be creative and innovative about what needs to happen next, using the latest technology and thinking to create the kind of world that women want to live in. And I'll describe some of these innovations shortly. So yes, that promise that I made to my daughter has now become a movement, And you can read all about my journey in my book, which is, as I said, it's called The Gift. And what the book and winning awards like the NatWest Social Businesswoman of the Year does, it helps me to shine that spotlight, not onto me, but onto the cause. And so many organisations and companies are joining this movement, and our work is endorsed by some major business gurus like Daniel Priestley here. So, who is this training for? Well, it's for organisations who are genuinely dedicated to fostering work environments that are inclusive and supportive of female employees, recognising the importance of creating spaces where everyone feels valued and able to contribute fully, and who are actively seeking to fulfill their sustainable development goals and their environmental, social and governance commitments in meaningful ways, with the understanding that diversity and inclusion and the menstrual, reproductive and menopausal health and well-being of employees are integral to these objectives. And organisations who aim to confront and mitigate period poverty within your organisation and in the wider community, and who are eager to involve your team in meaningful initiatives that make a difference in people's lives, and who are seeking to decrease instances of absenteeism and uplift morale among staff, recognising that a supportive and understanding working environment contributes significantly to employee satisfaction and retention, and also who aim to boost performance and are keen to enhance overall productivity and profitability, with the understanding that a workforce that feels supportive in all aspects of their health and well-being is going to be more engaged and motivated and productive, and also who desire to be industry leaders in promoting and implementing inclusive practices and recognising the value of setting a precedent for diversity, equity and inclusion within your sector, thereby influencing positive changes industry-wide, and also who aim to align with the British Standards Guidelines for Menstruation and Menopause in the workplace, demonstrating a commitment to not only meeting but exceeding standards for employee health and well-being, and thereby setting an example in your industry. And who this training is not for, clearly it's organisations who are not focused on fostering inclusive workplaces for women, are unwilling to challenge taboos around menstrual and menopausal health, and are indifferent to retaining and attracting female talent, and are not aiming to lead or innovate within their industry. So here's what we'll be going through today. As I said, there are 3 parts to this training, which when implemented in this order will provide a winning inclusion strategy. The first part, I call it the red phase, because it stands for relay, empathy and design. This is a 3-step stage phase to begin the journey towards an inclusive workplace by firstly relaying the key information and concepts within teams to build understanding and gain their support. Secondly, it's about fostering empathy for diverse experiences, and then designing foundational strategies based on the mapping of the organisation. The second part, I call it the pink phase. It stands for practical, intersectional, negotiated and knowledge. This includes 4 steps involving practical implementation of the plan, a focus on intersectional approaches, and I'll explain what that means in a minute, um, negotiation of work design within organizational frameworks, and also ensuring that the knowledge of the message and the mission are well communicated across the physical workplace environment. And then the third part, I call it the gold phase, which stands for gain, observe, lead, and develop. This is 4 steps to sustain and evolve your inclusion strategy by gaining recognition from ongoing practices. So, firstly, observing and evaluating the impact, then leading by example within your industry, and then continuously developing strategies for growth and success in inclusivity. Does this make sense before we get started with each phase? Yes? Great. Now, do make sure you're ready to take notes, because I'm going to go through this strategy quite quickly, and every step is important to get the best results. So let's dive straight into the training with the first part. The R in red is all about relaying the relevant information and getting the buy-in of colleagues. This phase is about making your workplace menstruation and menopause savvy. A little about the British Standards 30416 guidelines that were published in 2023. I can't emphasize enough what a major step forward this is for workplaces. Understandings of menstruation and menstrual health and perimenopause and menopause in Western society are complex and influenced by many factors that are as yet not fully understood or openly discussed. And this can make it difficult for women who menstruate to understand, for them to understand and manage their physical and mental symptoms, and for workplaces to then adequately support them. Look, the way we work is changing, but in many cases, core working practices are still almost the same as when women were not represented in workplaces or prioritized as employees. So as the pressure grew for women to enter workforces, it became a case of them fitting into existing frameworks where their specific needs were not served, and in many cases are still not served today. So the British Standards guidelines have significantly addressed the previous lack of knowledge about how women's bodies function in professional settings, helping to dispel many prevailing myths and misconceptions, and thereby helping employers to not just embrace women's biological journeys, but let it actually shape business going forward rather than sweeping it under the carpet. Does that make sense? Now, this is the big one. Creating empathy is the key to success in getting employees to buy in to your inclusion strategy. You can nurture empathy by sharing experiences of colleagues' journeys in the workplace while dealing with their reproductive health. But the most effective method that we use with our clients involves virtual reality technology, VR technology. By wearing a VR headset, employees can virtually step into the shoes of a woman, for example, who is dealing with menstruation or a menopause issue, thereby experiencing her workplace challenges firsthand with her voice in their head and through her eyes. It's really powerful, and this immersive experience significantly enhances empathy by providing a vivid first-hand understanding of their daily realities. And when you take the headset off, you find that the barriers to discussion or openness have all come down. Another effective method for fostering empathy towards reproductive health issues involves engaging your workplace in addressing period poverty with the local community, within the local community. initiating a simple, impactful strategy of collecting menstrual products for homeless shelters and food banks nearby can spark important conversations about periods. And we've seen significant successes, even in traditionally male orientated environments like construction companies, where employees, along with their families and friends, have actively participated. And this collective effort not only provides essential support, but also helps to normalize discussions about menstrual health in the workplace, leading to broader cultural acceptance. And organisations that we're working with all over the country are playing a huge part in realising our vision to eliminate period poverty in the UK, whilst at the same time elevating the respect and inclusion within their own workplaces. They're linking up with our period angel stations in their communities, such as in GP practices that we're working with at the moment that have a period poverty station in their waiting rooms, as well as food banks and shelters that we're working with. It's really a win-win. And then an important stage in this phase is the designing of your workplace strategy, which starts with mapping. That's evaluating your current practices and policies and spaces, and identifying the specific areas for improvement. Next, and as part of this, we listen to employees to gather diverse insights and their experiences, and then ensure that their strategy reflects their needs. And this is followed by an assessment of each of the workspaces within your organisation. So I say workspaces and not workplaces here. And it's to ensure that they are accessible and supportive, especially for those dealing with menstrual health issues. And then finally, we craft a strategy based on this comprehensive feedback, outlining actionable steps and goals. And this process creates a workplace where everyone feels valued and supported, enhancing engagement and productivity. Does that all make sense so far? Give me a yes in the chat if it does. Awesome. So now onto the pink phase. Firstly, designing an accessible and inclusive workplace environment is key to fostering a supportive and productive atmosphere, right? The focus here should primarily be on ensuring practical, everyday considerations are met to accommodate all employees, especially those that are dealing with menstrual health. Then the menstrual products in washrooms. Now this is a crucial aspect, and if you implemented nothing but this, it would make a huge difference. And with the clients that we work with directly as a manufacturer and supplier of menstrual products, we can ensure that natural, healthy, sustainable period products, along with our beautiful bespoke dispensers that you can see in the picture there, provided, that fit seamlessly into any workplace washroom. And this not only supports hygiene and comfort, ensuring that the products they need are there when they need them, but also enhances the dignity and respect of your employees by acknowledging and addressing their needs. Then in terms of key building considerations, so accessibility starts with the physical layout, and this includes, for example, ensuring that the proximity of female employees and where they sit, for example, to washrooms is adequate and comfortable. And so this minimises a disruption and maintains privacy and convenience at difficult times. And the sorts of things to consider when looking at the impact on physical aspects of work is things like the design and the materials that are used in uniforms. For example, if you're in a bank and everyone's wearing a uniform, or other roles, because these can play a significant role. Choosing fabrics that are comfortable, breathable, and adaptable to various bodily needs, particularly during perimenopause and menopause, ensures that employees can work without that added stress or discomfort. And in terms of thermal comfort, adjusting and utilising the warmer and cooler parts of the building and providing options like quiet rooms where employees can retreat when needed are important for maintaining overall comfort and accommodating temperature sensitivities, which can fluctuate significantly during menstrual cycles and menopause, of course. So by focusing on these elements, we create an environment that's not only meeting the diverse needs of our workforce, but also promotes a culture of inclusion and respect. Now, in the intersectional recognitions phase, we address how overlapping characteristics like age and sex and race, gender identity, religion, disability, neurodivergence, socioeconomic background, and even geographical location can kind of compound oppression and reinforce inequalities. And understanding these intersections is vital for creating a truly inclusive workplace. Now, with neurodiversity, one example here is how employees with conditions like ADHD or autism may experience menstruation and menopause very differently, necessitating accommodations that tailor to their unique needs. And then with design of accessible and inclusive environments, this sort of extends beyond physical modifications to include emotional and cognitive considerations. So creating quiet, sensory-friendly areas, for example, helps neurodiverse individuals to manage sensory challenges while ensuring facilities are universally accessible and culturally appropriate. So by incorporating these insights into work design, organizations can support all their employees comprehensively and foster an environment where everyone can succeed. Does that make sense? So next, in the negotiating work systems phase of our inclusion strategy, we delve into integrating supportive measures within the existing organizational framework. So this phase is critical because it ensures that the practical aspects of inclusion are woven into the very fabric of everyday operations in your organization. We begin by mapping out the entire colleague journey from recruitment to retirement, including the micro journey experiences of individuals. For example, consider the daily routine of a woman with small children, preparing them for school or childcare, and navigating the traffic and arriving at work just in time. Identifying these daily challenges helps us to pinpoint where support can be most impactful. Then, during the recruitment process, we assess whether aspects like menstruation and menopause needs are openly addressed, setting a precedent for openness and inclusion right from the outset. And with flexible working options, we advocate for flexible working arrangements wherever possible that accommodate these personal and health related needs. flexibility in working hours or the option to work from home during challenging days can really enhance comfort and productivity. So now implementing menstrual leave is another really progressive step if you're not doing it already. And we negotiate this within our work systems, especially when it comes to the 1 in 8 women with endometriosis, or those who suffer with very heavy and painful periods. This policy acknowledges the physical challenges that employees like these may face and demonstrates a deep level of empathy and support from the organisation. And by negotiating these changes within your existing organisational structures, we ensure that our inclusion strategies are practical and actively practiced, leading to a more supportive and an equitable workplace environment. And the last part of this phase is about knowledge communication, which is about how we effectively disseminate the necessary information across the workplace to ensure that all employees are aware of the resources that are available and the commitment that the organisation has towards inclusivity. And a practical step in this phase includes clear signposting on walls, quite simply, directing people to the location of washrooms that are equipped with menstrual products. And these signs help reduce any discomfort and anxiety or uncertainty about accessing the necessary items when they need them, ensuring that your employees feel supported in managing their health needs discreetly and conveniently while at work. And also incorporating inclusivity mission statements is a good idea in visible areas around the workplace, because it reinforces the organisation's commitment to supporting all employees, including those experiencing menstruation or menopause, of course. So these statements, they serve as a constant reminder of the supportive culture that your organisation strives to maintain. And then the other key initiative in the appointment is the appointment of menstruation and menopause champions. These are sort of accessible individuals who are passionate about being the champion for this in your organisation, and who are visibly identified around the workplace with signs that include their contact information. And we engage employees in deciding what to call these champions. It could be advocates, for example, ensuring that the term reflects the inclusive and supportive culture that we're aiming to foster. So by integrating these elements into your workplace, we enhance communication about our inclusivity efforts, making it easier for employees to access support and also to feel part of a workplace that truly cares about their well-being. Are you with me so far? Yes, okay, moving on. And here's just a quick example from Jeannie, the CEO at Remote, describing what a difference it makes to your workplace to include free menstrual products, and saying some lovely things about working with us and making a positive impact for women in crisis. The final part of this training is the gold phase, which is about gaining recognition, where we focus on both internal and external validation of the efforts and achievements in creating an inclusive workplace. And it's crucial for solidifying the commitment to inclusivity and celebrating the strides you've made towards your goal. With our clients that we work with directly, we assist in obtaining the relevant accreditation, such as the CPD certificate and the Gift Wellness Female Friendly Workplaces plaque. And while accreditation alone may not encompass the entirety of an organization's efforts, it does serve as a significant marker of commitment and progress towards inclusive practices. Now, this phase also provides an excellent opportunity for employee recognition, because celebrating those who have contributed significantly to fostering your inclusive environment not only gives their morale and career a boost, but also motivates others to participate actively in these initiatives. Imagine the potential industry awards that your passionate champions and your organization could win, and what that would do for boosting morale and celebrating success. Because by recognizing and accrediting efforts, we boost morale across the whole organization. It's not just about receiving plaques or certificates, but about acknowledging the real positive change that's being made within the company. It's important. And also, these achievements can be leveraged for positive PR within your industry, showcasing your organization's commitment to inclusivity can set you apart and attract like-minded talent and position your company as a leader in progressive workplace practices. So by focusing on these aspects, the gain recognition section really helps to cement the importance of inclusion initiatives and celebrating the achievements and setting the stage for ongoing commitment and improvement. In the observe and evaluate phase of our inclusion strategy, we focus on accessing the impact and effectiveness of our initiatives through structured feedback and continuous policy refinement. So one of the critical tools that we use is employee feedback surveys. And these surveys are conducted both before and after the implementation of inclusion strategies to gauge the changes in employee perceptions and experiences. And this direct feedback allows us to identify successful areas and what areas need improvement. And things like a suggestion box or similar process also provides a continuous stream of insights from employees and offers fresh ideas and suggestions. And policy review and integration is about, rather than completely rewriting your diversity and inclusion policies, we look at what is already in place, and often it's about making targeted amendments or additions to your existing policies, such as your ESG commitments, to better align with the current needs and goals. And it ensures that policies remain relevant and effective without overwhelming the organisation with major overhauls. And also setting up regular review intervals, such as semi-annual and annual reviews, is really important. These reviews help monitor the long-term effects of the implemented strategies and ensure that the organisation remains aligned with its inclusivity goals over time. So this phase is crucial for sustaining and building on the progress that you've already made in inclusivity. In the lead the way in your industry phase, we emphasize the importance of setting your organisation apart as a beacon of progress and success in inclusivity in your sector. And by adopting the successfully implemented inclusion strategies, your organisation can demonstrate tangible improvements in employee morale and productivity and profit. And this success not only enhances internal culture, but also strengthens your market position as an exemplary organisation. And in terms of industry recognition, these achievements position your organisation to potentially win industry awards, further validating your efforts and commitment to inclusivity. And these accolades serve as a powerful endorsement and boost your reputation and attract attention across the industry. And we've seen that happen. And moreover, you attract the talent that you want. You become known as a place where women and all employees feel supported and valued. And this makes your organization a very desirable place to work. And this reputation helps attract, the top talent and positions you as a leader in creating a diverse and inclusive workforce. So by leading the way in inclusivity, you're not only contributing to a more equitable industry, but also sort of setting a standard for others to aspire to and driving broader change and innovation, which is what I find really exciting. And lastly, in the developing dignity-led workplaces into the future part, it's about focusing exactly on that, on cementing a culture of ongoing improvement and dignity around the workplace throughout every layer of the organization. And it's a commitment to excellence. It underscores a top to bottom commitment to continual improvement. Leaders and employees alike, they embrace the practices that not only meet current standards, but also set new benchmarks for inclusivity and respect. And it ensures that the strategies that we implement are not just temporary measures, but are sustainable, future-proof approaches that will fundamentally transform the organization's culture. And by embedding these dignity-led practices into the daily workings of the organization, we create this lasting change, this cultural transformation that transcends the workplace and affects every interaction and every decision, reinforcing an environment where respect and inclusivity are the norm. And then the community engagement is so important, extending the reach of these initiatives into the community, particularly through the ongoing efforts to combat period poverty, that shows that the organisation's commitment goes beyond its own walls. By actively participating in local community projects, the organisation not only aids in addressing broader societal issues, but it also strengthens its ties with the community, enhancing its social impact and visibility. And we've seen so many examples of this. And so your organisation not only enhances its internal culture, but also sets a shining example of how businesses can effectively contribute to societal well-being while fostering a respectful and inclusive workplace. Can you see how important this stuff is for your workplace? Yeah? Give me a yes in the chat if it all makes sense. Great. And here's a great example of the wonderful Debbie who championed the project at Overbury and who went on to win awards and get promoted in her company within a very male-dominated construction industry. What an inspiration. So here's what we've covered so far. A 3-part plan, which when implemented in this order will provide your organisation with a winning inclusion strategy. We went through the red level, relay, empathy, design, which was 3 steps to begin the journey towards an inclusive workplace by sharing essential information with teams and building that understanding to gain their support, foster empathy for diverse experiences, and designing foundational strategies. Then the pink level, which was the practical, intersectional, negotiated, and the knowledge steps. So 4 steps to move towards practical implementation with a focus on intersectional approaches and negotiation within organizational frameworks. and ensuring that these strategies are well communicated across the workplace. And then the gold level, which was, the 4 steps to sustain and evolve your inclusion strategy by gaining insights and recognition from ongoing practices and observing and evaluating the impact and leading by example in your industry and continuously developing strategies for growth and success. So look, this is the answer, and this is so exciting because it's a complete solution for your menstrual and menopausal inclusion and diversity strategy. Because, in the red phase, we lay that foundation with a mapping and get everyone on board to make the cultural shift. And we learn all about the British Standards guidelines and how to apply them in your workplace. And remember, the goal in this phase is to create what? Empathy. And with your, with our private clients, we do that through our unique VR training. And then the pink phase is all about the physical implementation within various workspaces, such as the provision of the menstrual products, taking into account the overlapping intersections within diversity and negotiating the work design. And then finally, to emphasize once again, the gold phase is all about recognizing and uplifting and planning ahead and future-proofing your strategy. And the great thing is that when you figure this stuff out and implement a model like this towards an inclusive, potentially award-winning workplace that women absolutely adore, and what felt like an absolute minefield before suddenly becomes achievable and actually surprisingly easy to implement. So, you can't afford to keep doing what you're doing and hoping it's just a trend that will go away. Because if you know that it's possible to create a workplace that synchronizes with women's bodies, where menstruating and menopausal women can thrive and succeed and feel like they're part of an organization that's really getting them and really gets them and will support them through everything. And what we absolutely love to see is working with organizations that have embraced this concept and gone from situations like this to this, and gone from token gestures and desperate measures like these to simple, effective solutions like this. Does that make sense? And look, I want you to be next. And I hope today's training was insightful, but if you've looked back over the last few years and you've seen these signs and struggled to unravel the whole thing to find the right solution for your organisation, then maybe it's time to make the change. And I'd like to help you with that change. So I want to present an opportunity for you to have a chat with me. I'm going to offer you a completely free Accelerator call. It's a strategy session. You will leave this call with the exact blueprint that will take your organisation from having no menstruation or menopause strategy to an organisation that's leading the way in inclusivity within your industry. And what we're going to do on this call is to find out what's really going on, what's not working with your current approach, and how to fix it, and give you a plan of action to get to your inclusivity goals. And during this call, if it feels like a good fit, look, I do have a program that I mentioned earlier called Workplace Accelerator. I'm very protective about who comes in. And so I just want to mention, full transparency, I don't offer this to everyone. So please don't expect that we're going to talk about this on the call. But if it feels like a good fit, if we hit it off, and we have a really good conversation, then, we could end up talking about our consultancy where I coach your team through this program. And look, all the organizations I mentioned, you could be one of them. But it all starts with our Accelerator call, and then you may be offered the chance to work with me further. So click the button or the link somewhere around the webinar, and if you're serious, then taking this call is literally the most important thing you can do. I can't see any reason why you wouldn't want to do it. So go ahead and book your call, and don't forget to fill out the form on the next page. We only have a few slots over the next few days, and look, I take these calls really seriously. I want to get to know you, I want to help you, I want to serve you, and that time on the call is precious for both of us. So I'll need you to fill out the form on the next page after you book the call, because it's really helpful for me to get to know you and your organization, and it also allows us to hit the ground running on the call itself. So I really hope that you'll take it as seriously as I do, and one of the ways that I know that you are is that you'll take a few minutes and fill out that form. And so I'm sure you'll understand I'll have to go ahead and cancel your call if the form isn't filled out, because without it, I can't prepare for the call. So go ahead, book your call. I'm super excited to speak with you, uh, but I won't have this page open for much longer because we're about to close the webinar down. So yeah, go ahead, book your call. Thanks for attending today, and I really look forward to speaking with you soon.